Hello, everybody. This is Teen Title Talk with Erin.
And Courtney,
This is the podcast.
where two librarians discuss two YA books every 2 weeks.
Today, we'll be talking about Scroll Seekers, Black Dragon of Dearth by Jason McIntosh and
The Way Back by Gavriel Savit.
Before we do that, we do need to dip into the jar of teen angst. So, Cor, as a teenager, what was something you look forward to about spring? I feel like we're on the brink of spring here.
It really does feel like we're on the precipice of something hopeful, which is lovely.
Yeah.
Today I spent time outside and the snow is melting and it was 40 degrees. It was just nice. So what did I look forward to about spring? Probably that school was getting closer to be over.
Okay, I got you. You're already thinking about summer.
Sure, spring fever type,
Okay.
can't wait to so I used to love midterm week, which was late January for us.
Okay. That's weird.
Yeah. What?
You loved midterm week?
Yes, because it was short days.
Oh, gotcha.
So we would have our midterms, you would get out at lunchtime basically. And so after midterms happened, then it was the whole feeling in school changed. And it was a little bit more free. You felt like we're in a new semester.
Yeah.
Might start a new class. And
new beginnings everywhere.
Totally. And then the warm weather comes and you spend a lot more time outside with your friends. And so I just think rather than a specific activity, I just enjoyed that feeling of a fresh start.
Yes, I definitely had that too. And there's nothing different really now for me in the feeling of spring. For me as a teen and now is the same, which is that coming out of winter, once the sun arrives and it starts to feel warmer, I feel like a superhero at the very beginning of spring. I feel like I could do anything. The energy all of a sudden is up and the sun is there and it makes me feel amazing. But there was also, in where I lived, mud season, which just meant that occasionally the bus would not be able to make it up the road all the way. So I had a mud day instead of a snow day. There would be a mud day.
So you grew up in Vermont.
Yes.
I grew up in New Hampshire, which probably to the rest of the country, they're probably the same place. But I will say, I did not hear the term mud season until I went to college in Vermont.
Oh, okay.
And it was a thing. And boy, is it true.
It's pretty rough. It can be
spring is a muddy season probably everywhere. There's rain, there's snow, there's things are melting, whatever. But I don't know. In Vermont, it just did feel muddier.
Yeah, it was. And there were times when I wouldn't make it up the road but I got really good. You have to just stay on the top of the ridges.
I lost boots and puddles and it was crazy.
They did put chains on the bus. I know that was a winter thing, but I think it was also a mud season thing, and sometimes that did not even help. So there were occasionally times when they couldn't make it, and then I would be able to have a mud day, and that is a special time because it's spring and it's snow day. You have the day off, which kids don't have anymore, really.
Is it because there's more dirt roads or something?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it doesn't happen on pavement, but I mean, New Hampshire, I'm sure rural New Hampshire has mud season.
I'm sure it does.
But we're forgetting one major thing. Did you ever do anything for Maple Weekend?
Oh my gosh. I can't even believe that I'm not even talking about Maple Weekend right now because it is the one thing I'm looking forward to.
Okay, when is Maple Weekend? Do we know? Do we have a date?
It's almost always March 20th or
gotcha.
Around there. But my favorite Sugar Shack posted 3 weeks ago
they're ready,
getting our taps ready, and I was oh.
Is that the sweet
the one in Goffstown?
Yeah, that's the one I like here too. What's it called?
Nature's Sweet.
Nature's Sweet Secret. Yeah. Is that it? Oh, I love that place.
I love them, and it's my dental hygienist.
I did not know that. Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm serious. She was my dental hygienist, but yeah, no, I love them, and I love Maple everything, and Maple Weekend is so exciting because it's like all the sugar shacks and people who make syrup are like, yay, we're gonna do it all together.
You have to have sugar on snow. You have to, if you can get it. If not, some maple cotton candy.
Oh my God, I love maple cotton candy.
For.
Love the maple cotton candy.
Mm-hmm.
Live for maple cream, and I just used up the last of what I had. So
okay, well, just on time.
Just in time. Although I guess you could make it yourself, like from maple syrup, but like still.
Yeah, but why? Unless you're into it.
Like, is there anything more perfect? I could just spend this whole podcast talking about maple syrup, but like, is there anything more perfect than like fresh baked bread with like maple cream on top? No, there is not.
I don't know. Some people might not go for it. Like, some people I think maple is strong. I have an extremely high tolerance for any sort of maple intake.
I have an extreme high tolerance, yes. Yeah. I mean, we must go through probably two gallons in a year, maybe a little more.
Yeah, I probably go through more. But see, Pop still sugars, so he gives us maple syrup, and right now I even have too much. And I'm going to make some maple cream candies soon.
Mm-hmm. And you'll be inviting me?
Yeah, and I'll send some to you. Because I'm not going to eat them all by
myself. It's all just so good. And I can't even believe, like, when I was a kid, we did not eat real maple syrup.
What?
Yep. It was like Mrs. Buttersworth.
Did you hold a protest at some point?
And I didn't really discover how magical it was until I went to college. And I was like, well, what's the big deal?
I would not turn my nose up at a fake. I honestly, like, I love maple syrup. I would know that I'm definitely not.
Oh, the difference is like night and day.
It tastes nothing like maple syrup, but I'm not a snob where I would not eat that. I would still eat that on some pancakes.
Yeah, me too. I mean, a lot of diners, you have to eat the table syrup. They don't have real maple syrup unless you pay extra.
I do know some people who would bring their own to that kind of situation.
It's worth it. But I mean, I'll eat anything. But like, yeah, did not grow up eating real maple syrup. And now I'm like, I can't believe I put it in everything. I put it in my oatmeal. Yes. I put it in my smoothies. Oh, yeah. I put it on my pancakes. I put it just on plain bread because why the hell not?
No, I think that's great.
So anyway, maple time is upon us.
Well, that's the best part. Was a tangent, but so we should move on to books. But I'm happy. I'm feeling very hopeful for the future, the upcoming weeks.
Yep. Great. Me too now.
All right. So what did you read? You read The Way Back.
The Way Back. And, I just grabbed it like off the shelf. I had not really heard much about it. Uh-huh. And I'm really glad I grabbed it. And it turns out that it was a National Book Award finalist. So other people have heard of it too. And it was just so wonderful. So let me give you the quick synopsis, which is going to be hard for me. I'm always really bad at giving synopsis anyway, because I talk too much, but this one feels really tough because it feels like there's kind of a lot of confusing stuff going on, but I loved it. So anyway, the best I can say is two teens' fates cross paths when they both face death head on, and then they're like determined to overthrow death with a capital D. Or at least evade death. So traveling through the far country, which is a land of demons and ghosts, Yehuda Lieb is determined to win back the soul of his father and learn more about himself in so doing. And Bluma, Yehuda Lieb's neighbor, has the misfortune of witnessing death come for her grandmother. And now death is after her because she like saw this thing happen that she was not supposed to witness. So it's a race against darkness, against time, in a place where time means nothing and death is a person and also not a person. It's
Interesting.
very folkloric. It's very dark, but in the end, it's also hopeful. And I just thought it was incredible.
That's really cool. What did you like? Any specifics?
This is going to sound like very general, but I loved the words.
Mm,
Like, there were many words I actually wasn't that familiar with, so I had to look them up because Savit pulls a lot of inspiration from Jewish folklore,
oh,
which
cool.
I don't know much about.
Mhm.
So that was really fun to like be immersed in this sort of Eastern European feeling, very like fairy tale-esque
Oh, I love it.
world. Um, but the words that build the sentences that build the paragraphs that build the chapters, it all felt so
Mm-hmm.
intentional, really like poetic. I can completely understand why it was the finalist for the National Book
Okay,
Award.
gotcha. Yeah.
Like the two main characters are, I would say, two sides of the same coin. And
Okay.
there's a lot of play with duality and this sort of symbolism of, like, specifically, like, there are two coins, and each coin in the story has like an open eye and a closed eye. So there's this like sort of mirroring that happens throughout it.
Okay.
Felt um really masterful, just like really well crafted, well thought out, and like really literary. Actually, can I read you a tiny bit?
Sure. Go for it.
Right.
Love
So
it.
we don't haven't done that in a long time.
You know.
Um, and I just think it's so beautiful that it deserves a little bit of a read. So this is towards the end. It's on page 313.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes like this. Each of us crosses the threshold of the house of death eventually, and each of us goes alone. You stop to let the honey-sweet sunlight warm your skin, and as the fragrance of the grass reaches you, you find that you are desperate to feel it between your toes. You bend to unlace your boots, just as everyone who came before you has done, just as everyone who comes after will do. The grass is warm, the earth soft and supple beneath your feet. The only sound you can hear is the light stirring of the breeze. You are alone now, though there may be hundreds, thousands who come into the estate in the very same moment as you.
Mm.
Even Yehuda Lieb and the nameless girl, who came in quick succession through the very same door, who stood in precisely the same position at precisely the same time, were entirely alone. This is the peculiar perspective of death. Each of us crosses the threshold of the house of death, and each of us goes alone.
Oh, wow. I love that.
It's just like,
Yeah.
so
At the
it's like,
mind level, it's wow.
yeah,
There
it
it's
was just like,
staying.
loved it.
Love it. Anything you didn't like?
So, I mean, as always, it's like, but
Choose something.
I think there are definitely some mutterings out there, like on Goodreads reviews and stuff, that complain that the story is too convoluted. Like,
Okay, like there's too much going on.
yeah, too many characters, too many people that have more than one name, too much to keep track of. Like, are you in the land of the living? Are you not in the land of
Okay.
the living? And I think part of it is intentional. It's
Okay.
designed to be, I think, a little bit to sort of unmoor you. I don't think you're really always supposed to know what's going
Okay.
on
Gotcha.
perfectly because there is such because it's really about crossing over to this like shadow land that exists and doesn't exist
Hmm.
and then coming out of it again. And so there's that like that sort of liminal space in between those two worlds is where these characters spend the majority of their time. And
Okay.
so it is just kind of a confusing place, but I can understand why people would be like, what even is happening? Like there were some things that I
Yeah.
had to read, be like, wait, what?
Yeah, backtrack a little bit and
that. I guess that's it.
So you said that the line level sounds really special. Normally I'd asked you if there's anything special. That almost sounded already like something extremely special about the book. Is there anything more special or that makes it stand apart from any other, finalists of the National Book Award?
I don't know. Well, I'm not sure if I don't know if I read any of the other ones, but I think certainly what sets it apart from stuff that I've been reading recently is that, well, I'm not sure if I've read, well, you know what? No, Raybearer, I guess, was fantasy. And I think the difference between like a book like Raybearer, which I thought was incredible, 5-star wonderful, and this book, which I think is incredible and 5-star wonderful, is like, I don't know. Yeah, I think it just feels a little bit more about the sort of poetry of the words.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sometimes rather than the actual plot.
Okay, gotcha.
Which, I mean, I think there's a place for all kinds of writing. So I don't think this kind of writing is like better or like highbrow, like I think that there is this kind of idea that like things that feel classical or feel literary are better inherently than something that's like a contemporary fiction or something, but I don't think that's true. I just think that what makes this one special is that it does kind of have that almost like sort of classic feeling to it that I don't think is in a lot of books anymore.
Okay, gotcha. So it has both, though. It must have the whole package in order to have gotten the award. Like it has a good plot, it sounds like.
Oh, the plot is phenomenal. And the stuff that happened in it, I was like,
okay,
what is happening? I mean, it was just like, I think it's like a really thinky book. Like it makes you, it's like philosophical kind of. We're dealing with like, well, it would be great. It would be great for a discussion like in a high school English class.
Okay.
I can see kids just like super latching on to some of these ideas because I think when you're a teenager, you're sort of first really starting to question like obviously your place in the world, but also like your mortality and, starting to come to this understanding that like your time on this earth is limited. And so that's sort of what this book is dealing with. So it's like the themes are very like heavy, like you witness death coming for your grandmother and in a flash of a moment you steal by accident death's instrument. And so like when that happens, then that's like Bluma, that's the Bluma character, and she instantly becomes a target because now it's a spoon. Now she's got this
spoon
that has a razor's edge, and she's now a target for all of these like demons. And
I could definitely see some teens being very interested in this, but also being able to have that more conversation about the line level and imagery and all that good
stuff. I like you could write a paper about it or something. Like it just lends itself to that kind of thing. So I don't know, blah blah blah. It's very good.
Interesting. I have to check it out. Okay. And obviously it is amazing because it got a great award. I don't always agree with their assessment, but like they always have great books. Even if I don't agree with the winner every time.
Did you read Anna and the Swallow Man?
No.
He wrote that.
Okay.
And that one got great reviews as well, which I have not read. That was his first book and this is his second book.
Okay, gotcha.
So.
Interesting.
Yes, but I want to hear about what you read.
So Scroll Seekers is also fantasy. Thomas, it feels very like a classic quest. Thomas and Jillian, they have this rare gift that allows them to make their way into the mysterious worlds where they collect relics. And these are parents. They're basically treasure hunters that can slip through these portals and they're guided by this mysterious book. One day in the real world, Jillian's at this gymnastic tournament for her daughter Heidel, and the lights go out and Heidel screams. And when the lights come back on, her foot is badly injured, like she didn't like complete her tumble, but she did.
Oh.
So Jillian runs out, and at some point during like the physical therapist looking at the foot and everything, Jillian's like necklace hits the ankle, and Heidel's foot is effectively basically cured. But there's this mysterious mark upon it now.
Oh.
Right. So soon after things go, this is basically like the inciting incident. Heidel and Jace, the brother, they go missing soon after, aka they go through a portal door to this dangerous world of Gravlix and Trilix, and Thomas and Jillian soon realize what's up and they have to pursue them. But will they make it to the kids before it's too late? And will they be able to stop an age-old evil from being unleashed? There's a lot of action and adventure as they pursue them through the portal. So it's fun.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it is.
What it sounds very like action-packed.
It is, yeah. And this one was self-published, and I know you're gonna ask me what I liked about it.
What did you like about it?
But I'll just go right into it because I think it was the author's sense of action. Like there was a lot to love about the twists and turns of the adventure that the different characters were going on. And what I think was so unique about it was the visceral quality. Like you could tell the author could see the world really well and also was describing the world really well. So when like a beast was chasing the character, like you feel the heat of the breath and you can see the gnashing of the jaws and the slobber. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Django Wexler's writing. When he has those cinematic fight scenes with the beasts, and I got that kind of same sense. So it has good pacing, and it also has a really visceral component to it, which I enjoyed.
That sounds great. Gotta love good world building, because if you don't have that.
Well, and if you can't see it as the author, it's hard for you to put it out there. But this one definitely has like a very clear cinematic quality to it. So
cool. It sounds like it could be a movie.
It could be really fun.
Was there anything that you were not thrilled about?
Okay, so this could work for some while it won't work for others, but a lot of the story does rely on the parents and their agency as opposed to a teen hero.
I was wondering about that.
Right, so it bounces back and forth a lot from Thomas and Jillian to Jason Heidel, and because of this, it's possible that it could have a hard time finding an audience because it's not really strictly YA or strictly adult. It kind of lands in the middle somewhere. And perhaps for some that might work. It'll feel like more family oriented and maybe even could be like a family read if you're reading to your older kids.
Oh, like a Swiss Family Robinson type thing.
But it's not a market norm, as we know. So that would be a harder obstacle for this title, I think.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Well, tell me something really special about it.
Okay, so I know I'm saying the writing is visceral, and that's cool. But Jason McIntosh also does illustration. And so, first of all, I'll take a book with a good fantasy map any day of the week. Like, I just love to peer at the maps and see little sites before going in. Beautiful map at the beginning. But then there's also Hazer's notes full of questions about the scrolls at the back of the book.
Ooh.
Like the picture of the book that guides them into the other world, as well as notes on the dangerous animals.
Oh my gosh, I love stuff like that.
It's so great. And I got some swag. So I got like some glossy pictures that were like the size of postcards of these illustrations and the map. But they're in the back of the book as well. So either way, even if you weren't able to pick up the swag, having it right there in the back of the book, it just adds this beautiful dimension that brings it up to another level. So
Oh, that's
really,
cool.
it was just a delightful touch, and I loved that.
I wonder if it's trying to capitalize, I mean, maybe not intentionally, but like on, I do feel like there's a little bit of a thing right now with adults reading YA, like it's
Okay.
becoming more accepted, and they have like book clubs for like
That's
adult
true.
readers of YA.
I mean, YA's always been a crossover market, so I don't, and I know that new adult also has been trying to get legs, but I don't really feel like that one has busted out its own age group.
Mm,
But this one I wouldn't even characterize as new adult. It definitely felt like it was just the family unit. I guess I would say it was like more family focused.
all right. That's kind of cool though.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I thought that was interesting.
Hmm. Well,
All right, so what's up?
that sounds great.
Two good
And
fantasies to work on.
love, you know what? Is there any better time of year to read fantasy than the middle of the winter?
I think you're right. Maybe that's why we both did it without even talking about it.
It must
Like
be.
we
It's
didn't
like you need
for
an escape.
exactly.
I know. And the way back is full of, it's like it's a very snowy, full of
Mm,
snow book.
gotcha.
And I was like, brr the whole time. But all right, so let's talk about more things.
How about book buzz? Any fun stuff you've heard about, industry stuff coming up? Any fun books coming out?
Well, so I just learned, so I know Derry does not have Hoopla,
Right.
but other libraries in the GMilk system, I believe, do. And Hoopla has a graphic novel book club that I did not know about.
Whoa, cool.
I know it's really cool. You can join in the conversations using their hashtag, but also they have really good um, like book club discussion materials and extras on all the books that they choose. And the best part about Hoopla is that there's no waiting list, so like everyone gets a copy immediately. So yeah, no, they've been doing it for a while, and I had never heard of it before. So I just want to let people know, if you're listening, that Hoopla does that, and that you can join them just by going to hoopladigital.com.
That's awesome. I had no idea they had that.
Yeah, so I thought that was cool.
Great.
Um, and it's not really buzz because I didn't end up going, but there was a webinar the other day that I wanted to attend. It
Yeah.
was a conversation between Grace Lynn
Oh, okay.
and, well, I don't have it in front of me. Darn it. It was 3 own voices authors, and it was
Okay.
Grace Lynn. Oh, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I think it's OG Mora,
Okay.
who wrote Saturday,
Okay.
and one more person. And I really wanted to go to it, and I didn't. I signed up for it because I was like, oh, maybe I'll get the recording.
Do you
But I
think
don't
it's
think
still available out there?
I hope it is. I haven't been able to find it. But anyway, if anyone went to that, send us a
Tell,
note because I want to hear about it.
tell us where it was. Awesome. Anything else on your list? I got some. I mean,
You have some good ones.
I
So why don't we
do.
go to you?
Okay, so V. Schwab has I saw this on Book Riot, has a new superhero comic coming out called Extraordinary, and it looked so cool. I don't actually know what it's about. It was the cover that caught me. It features this girl's face, and half of it is her, like, regular face, and then from midway down is just, like, skeletal and red. It looks
Oh.
totally action-packed.
It's a graphic novel.
Yes, and it's, like, one of 4 that is going to be in a series, so.
I'm going to look
The
at
illustrations look very cool. Also, I did attend the virtual book launch for Heart Drum, which is a new HarperCollins imprint dedicated to books by Native American writers. Cynthia Lydic Smith is the curator for the collection, and the launch was a panel spearheaded by Ellen O of the We Need Diverse Books group, and it was all around inspiring. They all talked about their books and the influence, what influenced their particular stories, and it was just lots of fun.
Awesome.
That might still be available. I'm actually not sure. There were, when I looked at the number of how many were attending, it was like 500. on the little webinar.
That's great.
At least 500. It might have gone up as I was just not paying attention to the number. But I also spotted a book that caught my eye on the children's bookshelf that Jeff sold. It looked really interesting. It looked like just what I would imagine as this gorgeous arty book.
Mm-hmm.
So it said, Katie Cunningham at Big Picture has acquired Art of Protest, What a Revolution Looks Like by designer activist Dee Nichols, featuring illustrations from Diego Becas, Diana Dagadita, Molly Mendoza, Raul Abra, and Olivia Twist. Art of Protest looks at the role of the arts in protest throughout history and across the world and what it takes to make a collective visual impact. And it's slated for September 2021. It just looked really neat. I'm not really sure why it was, and maybe it's like geared toward teens, or maybe that's because the interest group. I think it sounds like it could be valuable for any age group just from the pitch. But
yeah, I am looking at it on Amazon right now. It looks great.
Yeah, it looks cool, right?
Totally. I love a good non-fic.
Gosh, yeah. Also, it just seems like a great lineup of, the art is going to be cool. So I think that does it, unless you have anything else for Book Buzz.
No.
That's all right. So yeah, that's a wrap on today's podcast. Did you know that you can now listen to us on Pandora? I've mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. You can literally just type in Teen Title Talk into the search and we will come right up. Thanks for Pandora for streaming podcasts now. That's a newer feature. Of course, wherever you're listening, thanks so much for joining us. And don't forget to drop us a line at any time by emailing us at teentitletalk@gmail.com.
Thank you for joining us for Teen Title Talk. This podcast is brought to you by the Derry Public Library and Derry-CAM, Derry Community Access Media, empowering independent voices. Wherever you are listening, if you enjoyed this podcast, please rate and review it and stay safe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.